So now we are officially rolling. Good afternoon, dear Gabriel.
Hey.
What you doing?
Good.
Yeah, we have this thing, you know? Yeah.
It's always awkward.
What's new with
Always
you?
awkward.
What's new with you? Is there anything that you feel like sharing with everybody right now before starting officially this episode?
Yeah. Hey girl, sorry, I'm engaged now.
Yeah! Woo! So,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Stancu is officially engaged.
Yeah, thank you
How
Roman,
does
for
this
putting
make
up
you
with
feel?
me. Makes me feel like
Loved.
there's gonna be makes me feel lucky.
Lucky.
Feel lucky.
Such a lucky son of
I'm
a gun.
I'm a lucky man.
Congrats.
Thank
It's
you.
a big step,
Thank you.
especially for you, Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Right.
we will still do this AmberCast after you
Yeah.
get married.
Yeah. I don't know. Am I allowed?
AmberCast with your bride to be, as long as it's in English.
Yeah.
Totally supportive.
So we have Mr. Mihai Pohontu in the house.
In the house. Woohoo!
Thank
We
you for
have-
having me.
Okay. Welcome. We have Mr. Scott Humphries in the mother house.
Whoop, whoop.
Woohoo!
Hello.
Yeah, so much enthusiasm.
Well, actually, so I'm especially enthusiastic to be here to see the new and improved edition of AmberCast, since I was numero uno AmberCast guest.
Wow, I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, you should
You're
watch
guest
it.
number one?
You should watch it. It's really.
I did watch it, but I don't remember you being guest number one.
I was.
Wow,
First guest.
that's hardcore.
They were virgins until.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
this will not be the last one. So the
Yes.
first one and the last one.
Hey, clearly Gabe liked it, so he invited me back. So I'm very grateful.
So both of you, both shows with you guys get the biggest reach that we have. So I don't know if you show them to all of your friends.
Of course.
Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just have full, you know.
So to the three guys out there who don't know who you are, would you be so kind to introduce each other?
Yes, introduce each other.
Yes.
Don't
Oh,
introduce
yeah?
yourselves.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll go first.
Wait, bleep, bleep.
Bad connection.
Yeah.
Please meet Mr. Scott Humphries, mobile games producer with extraordinary experience and portfolio. Scott has worked at EA and Disney in the past, and he has developed games like Simpsons Tapped Out and Frozen Free Fall that have been top grossing games in the app stores. And few people know that Scott trained to be an actor and was
What?
I'm going there.
for a brief moment part of the movie industry until he
Yes.
found the light.
Very brief.
He found the light and basically got himself a job making games.
So hang on, do you know Brad Pitt?
Just like you do. Honestly. Actually, someone confused me for Brad Pitt this Halloween, and I was super stoked
Oh
about
my
it.
god.
That's the only time that's going to happen.
Oh my god.
They thought I was a Brad Pitt character from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I was Hopper
Oh.
from Stranger Things.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like Hawaiian shirt confusion, I guess.
Yes, so yeah.
yeah. So
Also
It
awesome.
happens all the time.
Yeah. That's what I was
Scott is married, has two beautiful children, lives in El Segundo, California.
That's
and
right.
he is a very dear friend.
Good dude.
And we've been, fighting in the trenches for the prosperity and the supreme realization of Amber's dreams for some time now.
Thank you, Mihai. Mihai Pohontu, CEO of Amber. Good friend of mine I've known for over 15 years. Mihai was actually the one that got me into the industry. Hired me back at a small startup at the time called Jamdap, which worked on mobile games, where Mihai was running QA. And since that time, he's gone on to run operations for EA, a significant part of the EA Sports division. On the operational side, central services at EA. He ran my team at Disney and also central services at Disney. And then he went on to Samsung before he came to Amber. A man of infinite wisdom and perspective and really great manager and leader.
Oh my god.
Ooh, well, I wouldn't say.
I am done. Okay. It cannot get better than this.
They say it's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's 5 o'clock in Romania right now.
You know, fuck
So
it.
we're doing
I'm
this.
gonna like have
So
I don't normally drink beer,
Cheers.
but we are celebrating somebody getting hitched.
Yes.
boom.
I have the cocoa water.
Mm.
Oh, it's delicious.
Now, I do want to call you out on something. I went out with Mihai. He's not a man of infinite wisdom. I mean, he's wise, yes. Infinite wisdom,
It's
no.
like somewhat
Just
truncated with
Super Mihai.
Yeah.
Super Mihai has like flashes of wisdom. That's it.
So when did you guys meet? Like, how long have you known each other? Like, literally
Okay,
15
More than
So
years?
50
literally-
years ago.
15
It
years?
literally was, I think it actually was
16.
16
Yeah.
years ago. Scott was looking at a way to escape the dreadful movie industry because he was abused by his current manager, and like, you know, he would have all sorts of menial errands to run, and he had bigger dreams for himself than that. He was already, you could say, he was working in games by means of journalism.
I was doing freelance for a couple of journalism outlets like PC Gamer, IGN,
What? PC Gamer's
And,
huge. Wait,
You know, he
Yeah.
was an assistant.
Xbox Magazine. I worked for a few, but it was like in a freelance capacity, and I was
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
trying to do it part time while working in film and TV.
Yeah.
And I was like, this video game thing, there might be something to it.
Yeah, no, and look, I mean, Scott was actually accomplished. I don't want to diminish his accomplishments in the movie industry. He was working as an assistant for a very famous screenwriter in Hollywood. But, you know, he was interested in games, or being a lifelong gamer, clearly passionate about the field, writing about it. And I think he was searching for an opportunity to enter the industry. And he found this through a game testing job at an unknown company
Craigslist.
on Craigslist, posted by
Do
yours
people
truly.
still use that? Do people still use that?
I think it's
Oh,
online
yeah.
now.
Is that still a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Still sort of, yeah. And he came in for an interview. And I remember talking to Scott in the interview, and I'm telling him that he's overqualified for this role, and that I'm
It was so
grateful-
funny though because the
Yeah.
first time, it's the first time I had gone to an interview during that interview cycle where someone had actually thought I was qualified in any way. I thought I could go and just get an AP job at Activision or EA with my experience in Hollywood, and no one would even give me the time of day for an interview.
Yeah.
What's an
Mihai was actually
Associate producer.
Yeah,
Okay.
associate producer. And Mihai was the only one that actually called me. And so when I walked into the office, he's like, "Scotty, you're pretty overqualified for this position." I was just like,
Finally,
somebody
sees the
gets
magic
it.
and the beauty that
Yeah.
I am.
yeah. And the rest is history. I took to a job at Jamdat and been
And
friends
you
ever
know,
since.
of course, he was actually overqualified. He was, you know, hyper intelligent, knew a ton about games. He was hardworking, and he had, you know, really awesome demeanor, like getting along with everyone. And I think he was truly happy to be out of his previous engagement and kind of working with people that he could connect with, you know, and we'd made friendships within our QA group back in Jamdat Mobile in Los Angeles. We made friendships that will last a lifetime, you know, and many accomplished people in our industry. One example that I can give out of our crew, John Musselchuk, and he's the
What's up, John?
What's up, baby? And he's the GM of the Improbable studio in London today, right? And he was like, you know, with us, you know, handful of people kind of trying to figure out how you test mobile games in an era where you know, that was basically one step removed from Snake. You know, it was very primitive, feature phones, tiny screen size. Sometimes you were like limited in the numbers of colors you could display too. But we were super excited about recreating the history of games. Yeah. You know, it was the thing that animated us as gamers.
Yeah, it's interesting because you could rework the whole history of games for those phones, but you'd probably stop at technically you'd
Well-
stop at 64K.
Well, we started. Yeah, I mean, we technically started at 64K, which you would say is like what, like Nintendo Entertainment System, maybe below Atari, and then we got to Genesis, right, which was like the 300K, maybe 600K, 16-bit side scroller games that we're making on mobile, and Game Loft was doing at the time too. And then all of a sudden the 3D phones came out, and it was like 1 megabyte of space. It was like, damn, it was like Tony Hawk, and it was like super sketchy, like low poly character on phones, and then we got the iPhone, and then now it's like, I mean, these devices are like PS3s, right? PS4s almost. So
Getting there.
yeah. So yeah, it's been a really interesting ride to work on mobile and kind of go through that evolution.
Also, being part of a startup and being part of an innovative field that didn't have any rules written for it. And we were innovating by just merely doing our jobs. And, there's this feeling of satisfaction there that you're not playing in someone else's rulebook.
And it also has its downside, though. When we got acquired by EA, Jam eventually got acquired by EA, and we went over to EA Studios, and this was 2005. Those guys had no idea what we were doing, and they didn't understand it, and we were sort of the redheaded stepchild. It's like an American term of like somebody that's left out of place, of that campus in LA. And pretty soon they quickly saw that, once the iPhone came out, and once especially free-to-play started emerging, that it wasn't something to look down on. And today, it's the most ubiquitous gaming platform in the world.
It's huge, right? Way bigger than PC, way bigger than console.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So, what's your favorite game from that era? Your favorite?
The favorite game we worked on or played?
Yeah.
Worked on. From that old school era, I would say mine is probably Doom RPG. I thought it was super innovative. It came with this inherent lore of John Carmack coding it, allegedly on vacation.
You should tell the story, because I don't know if.
Yeah, I don't think he ever. I personally don't remember him committing to it happening in a weekend, but he definitely learned J2ME in a weekend. While his wife and kids are out playing, he's like coding on the device in the hotel room. So yeah, I mean, super smart guy. One of the early, what I would say, legit console gods that embraced mobile. So it was a really interesting experience to work with him coming over. But he's super passionate about the platform, and it was a great experience. So, and the game was awesome. Like, if you loved games like The Bard's Tale or Eye of the Beholder or Might and Magic, these sort of turn-based first-person strategy games, it was basically that on a mobile phone with Doom brand. So it was a really entertaining product.
Yeah, and I think it was exciting, especially for you, to meet one of your idols.
Yeah, absolutely. So many good stories of going over there to Dallas to visit those guys. Yeah. Both him and his wife Anna was a great time.
Awesome.
Did you play that? Were you playing games on feature phones back then?
No,
You don't have
I was more like a PC guy.
like always?
Like
Yeah, but like always? Like
Yeah.
not even.
Yeah.
Did you play Doom on PC?
yes, I did. Now I switched to PlayStation. I just finished The Last of Us, which is amazing game.
Yes, such a great game.
Yeah.
I'm super fired up for the second one.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
looks dark.
Yeah.
Super dark. Looks darker than the first one.
Yeah, I spent I stayed playing from Friday afternoon until Sunday late at night. Yeah, I played for about 24 hours, 25 hours straight. Yeah, I
How
told
many fingers?
four fingers. It's Wednesday. I had a lot of time to chill. Yeah, but it was amazing, and I played it exactly like trying to figure out everything and loot everything and find all the hidden pieces
Yeah.
there. And I was like playing like this all over the all over the set.
Are you usually a completionist?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
I love it when a game gets you to do that, though. Like, a game gets you to find all the little secret things that you can do in it. The last game I remember completing to 100%, it was, I think it was like Arkham Asylum.
For
And,
me-
finding all the
yeah.
Joker question marks, took forever.
Oh
And
my
I was
god.
like, I had to find that
That's
last
insane.
one.
That's insane.
Yeah.
For me, I think it
Or,
was
Riddler
Final
question.
Fantasy X, where I played the game with the intent of finding all
Everything.
the secrets, everything.
Oh, that's
Max out
a
everything.
huge investment for Final Fantasy.
Yes, absolutely. It was like 200 hours worth of my life.
100 hours.
200
200 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sounds
that's
about
cool.
right.
I think I have almost 200 hours playing F1. So
Wow.
They like the racing simulator?
yes, Formula One, 2018.
You love it, you love it.
Yeah, yeah,
I found great satisfaction like
yeah.
uncovering all parts of Final Fantasy X, and I love the story too. So I just played it again with the completionist mindset.
You're a
I
story
normally don't do
completionist.
that.
Okay.
Normally I just follow the narrative as fast as possible.
Yeah.
No, I'm playing right now a game on my phone, and I get really angry and frustrated when I only take 2 out of 3 stars completing each level.
Right.
Brick ball something, I guess. It's something with balls.
Bricks and balls.
Yeah, bricks and balls.
Is that it?
It's
That's a good game.
Is it a game? Really?
Bricks Ball Crusher.
Bricks Ball Crusher.
Yeah, it's easy to play, and 40 seconds per.
Bricks Ball Crusher. Okay, so all designers, like all free-to-play designers listening to this, when you said like I cannot get 3 stars, they're like, yeah, it works.
Go back and try again. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I had one stage that it took me like 2 days to play it, to get over that, to pass it. And I was like, ah! Then I had to pay 50 cents to get some extra stuff.
Are you guys finding that you're playing less games as you age?
No, I know for sure that I play more games now.
I play more games for less time, and I'm far more
The attention span,
demanding
yeah,
of the
yeah.
experience. Like sometimes I start playing a game and I'm like, oh, this game is like this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and 15 minutes in, almost is like robbed of magic because I've like been there, done that already.
Yeah, in terms of mobile games, I think, yeah, it's true. I play more games for less time, but for PlayStation games, I think each month or every 2 months I take a weekend off where I just play.
Just game.
Yeah, just play. I mean, I order in, I play, I order in, I play.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes I watch and get back.
What is your girlfriend doing in the meanwhile? Or maybe you're married, I don't know.
She's playing too. If you
Oh,
find
very
anything
cool.
that's multiplayer, or she goes like she does whatever she likes.
Because
It's like
we don't know.
weekends off.
But
yeah.
if she's also playing games, it sounds like you have the right girl.
Yeah, she plays games.
Well, I can vouch for that.
I mean-
She's awesome.
Yeah,
She's an awesome
we
girl.
play Mortal Kombat. It's like
Oh, the new
like
one?
a fight to the death.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's good stuff.
yeah.
So I found that as I get older, when I play with my kids more, those are the types of games I play. Now, mobile sensibilities have gotten me, like you said, more into like I have to get engaged in that first like 10 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever. But sometimes my kids are there, I'll overextend if they're having a good time, and that has gotten me to like broaden my perspective and play some experiences that I might not have, like
Yeah.
Minecraft, like.
Or
When I
Roblox.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
I would have never even touched Roblox because I'm into artistic values and the game has to look really pretty. And like, for example, I'm playing Assassin's Creed right now in Odyssey in a completionist way, right? And I really like the universe they created. So Roblox, it looks chunky and
Raw.
Super janky.
super janky, yeah. But my son was like so invested in it. That made me really curious and like, Dad, play with me. Let's get into this instance together. And and mobilized me. And I actually saw the magic of Roblox through his eyes.
Actually, Roblox is kind of amazing. Like even as a platform, even as a business,
Oh yeah, they're doing
right?
They're doing crazy.
killing it.
Roblox is like. Can you explain Roblox?
They're
I can't
they're,
explain.
they're a platform like
They're a
they-
platform,
yeah.
right? Yeah, I mean,
They're a
people-
platform of user-generated content
Mhm.
with emergent gameplay.
Yeah.
You remember we used to talk about that back in the day?
procedurally generated content, emergent gameplay,
Platform.
platform. Like this
One,
was
two,
the
three.
ideal that we were looking for when we started
Yes.
making games.
Yes.
Now, a question from the outsider.
At Amber.
At Amber, yeah.
An Amber
Yeah.
studio idea.
This is what
Let's
we-
find the concept.
Yeah.
And we looked for it, didn't quite find it. We found something that was kind of in the neighborhood of, but time is not lost. We're still here, stronger than ever.
It's super hard to plan for that though too. Like post Minecraft, tons of games have tried to like imitate that look and that feel and that like mechanic, and they just none of them have really resonated, right? And I don't see anybody going directly at Roblox currently, but you know, there's obviously no competitor that I can think of at the moment that's matching them in regards to the platform that they've created, especially for kids. So it's a hard thing to attack and sort of emerge.
Extremely tough thing to attack, especially from their dominant position today. I mean, they're going head to head on Minecraft as platforms that kids play these days. There is one
Fortnite,
benchmark
is a good example.
supported startup in San Mateo called Manticore. And they have a platform called Core that is supposed to be the Roblox
Gameplay
for more adult children with better graphics, but kind of using the same principles. Ex-CEO of Jamdat Mobile, Mitch Lasky, is at Benchmark Capital. He's the one that actually inspired us to look for an emergent gameplay platform game, and he put his money where his mouth is. So like the first startup that came to him with something like that, he was like, okay, we'll support you. I think they're like $20 million in funding. I mean, they're doing something at scale currently. So, but nothing in the market, and you know, I think that's a great opportunity. You know, more content for the kids, and you know, turning kids into gamers and builders and explorers.
Those games are very creative too. So it's like, you know, there's something I tell my daughters when they want to go on Netflix or they want to go watch a Disney movie on Disney Channel or whatever, and like, why don't you guys play a video game? Like, instead, let's go play Minecraft. Let's build stuff together. Let's survive together on this island. I don't know. I personally feel like it has more creative outlet and more opportunity to sort of stimulate their minds, their hand coordination, freedom of expression, role playing. So I'm all for it. Yeah.
Of course. I mean, we are living the profession that we are choosing, right? So it's obviously we want to bring that light to everyone, and we think it will enrich humanity.
Can you guys say that one more time so that my mother hears it? Because what she told me was
video games are not bad for you. There, I said it.
Yeah. Well, look,
that's gonna flame so many people on the internet.
What? I think this also applies to my parents because my brother is a level designer, and I know they had a lot of small conflicts regarding this. Hey, you're staying at your computer and playing all the day long. This is my job, Mom. So, yeah, Mom. This is his job.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that your brother is a game designer.
A level designer.
Yeah. Where is he? At Ubisoft? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I put it like this, because I knew you'll know.
That's cool. Well, you know, more power to him. I think, you know, if I could make a brief segue here, it's really amazing that you can have that career in the Romanian games industry.
Yes.
Okay, it's one of the most developed, sophisticated industry in the region. And part of the reason for that is Ubisoft, you know, for being here since 91. You know, followed by the successes of Gameloft later on in 99. And then Jamdat Mobile / EA Romania.
Who set that one up?
Oh. Gabe did. He was part of the OG.
He was part of the OG, yeah.
I joined EA.
You tested Doom RPG, didn't you?
I was an AP back then.
Oh, AP, yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at emails from Mr. Scott Humphries, like, oh, this guy must be cool. He's the producer of Doom RPG.
Time flies.
Yeah, but I only joined EA, like I didn't join Jamdat.
Okay.
You guys had already been acquired by then.
Yeah.
Which I hear I missed one amazing party.
Oh, we got so
the acquisition
trashed,
party.
Yeah, I mean, we just didn't
Is it the
believe
E3
it.
one?
It really changed things for us in a dramatic way. So this was, what is it? It was announced in 2006 and completed in 2007. But it was at the time one of the largest acquisitions, no, the largest acquisition in the games industry to date. It was, I think, $600 million, just about.
A little over, yeah.
Yeah, and that was unheard of, you know, for the time. And, you know, for our studio in Bucharest, I don't know, maybe we're like 50, 60 people at the time. So still pretty tiny, pretty family based. For us, it was, oh my God, we're joining the most amazing games company in the world, right? I mean, here we are, jumped at mobile, kind of fighting for survival in the wilderness. Nobody knew about that brand in Romania. Nobody really cared. And all of a sudden we became EA. And we're like, oh my God, the home of FIFA and Medal of Honor, Command and Conquer. And like, yes, it was The Sims. So, it blew everyone's minds, and of course ours, because we were so happy that this happened. We basically we did full club takeover without actually having a reservation made in advance. We just kind of showed up, took over the club, and partied our butts
This was
off.
here in Bucharest.
It was in
I thought you were
Bucharest,
talking about party in the US. That's funny.
in the old center, in the old town. Actually, the club was terrible too, but it was very close to our office. There was one virtually. If you remember that old office in the Unity Square.
You know what? I saved no money during that period. No money whatsoever.
Do you have any memories?
Some. So I have some because we wouldn't like. I remember most of days, but then this is the first time where I heard play hard,
Work hard,
play hard, right? Which now I'm like, yeah, whatever.
You're getting old.
He's a married man now.
Fuck that. Get my 8 hours of sleep. But I was like, okay, play hard, all right. Party hard, all right. Work hard.
We were all like that. It was almost like we would spend 10, sometimes 12 hours at work. We're always so busy, and the mobile industry at the time was exploding. So Jamdat is riding the wave. So that meant, we're doing our best to provide as many games to the market as possible. At the time, it was a lot of porting. You take one game, you port it to like an infinite number of like feature phones, and every game was essentially thousands of SKUs, right?
Yeah.
So the volume of work was incredible, and we were very invested in what we're doing. So we spent a long time at work. And lo and behold, when we're done, we're together drinking and celebrating and having a good time. So effectively, it felt like we're only apart when we're sleeping, because otherwise we're partying and we're working together. Always. It was fabulous.
You know what else is worth mentioning? Like the average age was what? 26?
25.
Even 26 feels like I was 26 at the time. Yeah, so time flies. That's the moral of that one.
I'm really curious because I think you're probably the best people to talk with about this. How do you feel? What do you feel made the difference? And you told us that Romania, from this region, is maybe one of the most developed countries. What made the difference? What made this happen?
As with everything in life, there's a certain degree of luck. The degree of luck is, Yves and Michel Guillemot coming to Romania a little shortly after the revolution, where we still had like street movements, and Mineriada was the first Mineriada was happening while they were visiting Romania for the first time.
Okay.
Which you normally think, it will turn somebody off immediately because there's instability and violence and just a lot of strife, social strife. But no, they found it exciting to be here, and they found that there is talent to be had. Certainly, there was quite a bit. And also, I'm sure they liked the fact that our costs at the time were like so low. I mean, I remember, $200 for like a programmer monthly salary. Like, oh my God. And at the time, $200 felt like, oh, that's a good salary. I can make stuff happen. $200. Seriously. And so there was an element of luck. I am part of that luck too.
Yeah.
I just, when I left Romania to study in the US, I always thought that I'm going to be a journalist, a political analyst to be exact. And then I was looking for a job while I was going to school and found this tester job at Activision. And I worked on the night shift there and absolutely loved the industry. I love the people. I love the fact that we're working with games, which I obviously knew a lot about. And I couldn't believe my luck that I could have a job doing something like this. So, as soon as I graduated, I just continued with the games industry. And as things turned out, I was in an environment, a startup environment, where people would not bat an eyelash to invest in a 25-year-old to start a new company in Romania. That's effectively what happened. I came to Romania, funded by Jamda to start up, to create a startup, and I also remember the first suite of funding that we received for the Romanian company was through Western Union. I kid you not, I went to Western Union and came out with 2 plastic bags filled with cash. Because that's how Romania was at the time. The currency was devalued, so you need like a wad of cash to pay somebody's salary. So here I am in the office, 2 plastic bags full of cash, and I'm like, paying salaries for the people.
When was that?
This was 2003.
Wow.
To-
It was a jungle.
It was
Weird jungle
It
back
was the
then.
Wild East.
Well, yeah. Well,
And so exciting too. I mean, what an exciting time. There was so much, I don't know, a sense of freedom and opportunity. It was kind of in the air. Everybody felt it. Everybody was hustling. Everything was possible at the time. We were still kind of innocent in the ways of capitalism. A little bit more jaded now, but obviously we have a lot more to show for it. It's a growing economy and a far more civilized place than Bucharest was back in the day.
So, 16 years later, today, 2019, where is Amber? And where's Amber is heading? Where Amber is heading? What's happened? Because it's almost the end of 2019. How was this year for you, and what's next? I think this is the best question. to ask.
Thanks to our collective efforts, we've had by far the best year that we've ever had. It was an absolute fantastic year, and it brought further clarity to our strategy to create a network of studios that's each specialized in a particular kind of development. And we were lucky to be invested in by our partners who trusted us to develop their games. And man, it's not easy to be proficient in games development.
Oh,
But I feel that every year we're getting a bit better. And every year we're getting closer to our goal of becoming the best game dev organization in the world. And I try to be humble when I say this because it sounds such a lofty and faraway goal. But the way we structure the company, we want to get there. Every year, everything that we can do to invest in and further shape and structure the processes of our studios make us collectively better. We make tons of mistakes. I'm sure we're going to make more. But we have
We learn from them.
well, we have a high tolerance for risk and failure.
We survive.
Yes. And we've had some rough times, babe. Oh man, 2017, for example, we got hit by Forex, kind of the exchange rate went against us. A lot of our clients are in the US, so if the euro strengthens, it's a problem for us because Romanian salaries are usually pegged to the euro. But without going into a lot of detail, one of our big clients at the time kind of shifted business models and basically was not doing production anymore and removed a big chunk of revenues from I mean, this happens, right?
Yeah.
You're an agency. As an agency, you have a suite of partners. It may happen that one of them is responsible for a good portion of the revenue, but that can go away at any time.
Yeah, and as much as you will always try to have this pie split in as many pieces as possible to mitigate the risk, you will always end up having 1 or 2 clients that they are 30-35% of your revenue, maybe more, maybe less.
Yeah, we're much more diversified than we used to be.
Yeah.
So the risk is less for us these days. Though, as we expand to the network of studios concept, it's further diversifying our portfolio, right? And being able to create different product streams, have less risk tied to a single individual partner that's half our revenue.
It's amazingly interesting, this thing. So basically, you are trying to diversify the project's income stream, and also diversify and take it to a niche using more smaller agencies, smaller studios, in order to have smaller modules that are highly skilled in a very, very narrow niche.
Yes, but Amber as a whole being all-encompassing. So our vision is that you come to Amber as any entity in the industry would, and we can cover your strategic need. We can make games, we can operate games, we can
do casual, we can do mid-core,
develop
we can do
functions,
social casino, we'll have the various streams set up to provide any and all services from a couple of engineers to designers doing match 3 levels to entire game projects to live ops takeover.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we want to be able to feel all the needs of game development that publishers or partners may need.
Yeah, and coming back for a moment to kind of the destiny of the Romanian game dev industry, I think Amber is a necessary presence in the market. We are by far the largest independent Romanian game dev company, by an order of magnitude, actually. And even though we're smaller than the multinationals, we are showing everyone that you can, survive on your own, and you can even make your own products. You don't have to just do contract work. We've made several original games in the past. We'll make more and increasingly more complex and higher investment. And outside of the mobile space, which we're traditionally comfortable in, like we definitely wanted to stride across platforms and across markets. And Amber as a whole is highly diversified and is a rainbow of, studio genres and skills that cover, as I said, every business strategy needed our partners can throw at us.
So for me, it sounds a lot like a very modular vertical integration.
Yes.
Where you cover all their needs, but you are also modular.
But we're also specialized in our individual units, so we can achieve, that obsessive craftsmanship that creates the best games in the world.
That's so amazing. And it's also amazing that you are the biggest independent game dev company, and you also do a lot of social or community driven stuff, like you get involved. Sorry?
Community stuff.
The community stuff, like you are involved in the Romanian Game Developers Association. You are involved in a couple of festivals. You are involved in DevPlay, which I think when we are shooting this tomorrow, it will be tomorrow.
DevPlay.
So probably it will be like one week ago or 2 weeks ago when we will be watching this. Also, I think you are involved in Bucharest Gaming Week. You are doing a lot of meetings with the students where you are trying to present them their options. That's amazing.
Thank you. It's maybe not a widely known fact, but the community aspect, the civic involvement aspect, the social consciousness aspect is a fundamental value of Amber. Like, we've created the company with this in mind, that Amber can be the centerpiece of a mechanism to create an ecosystem in Romania.
An ecosystem that changes the society, the local society here.
An ecosystem that changes games development in Romania, puts Romania on the map, and through that changes our country brand. I mean, it goes much deeper.
And bolsters the industry on top of that.
Even outside of the industry, but also effectively communicates Romania as a sophisticated, cosmopolitan place that plays with art and technology on the bleeding edge. I mean, that's what a wonderful story to tell about our country. So we wanted to be able to tell that story through Amber. And in order to do that, there's some things that need to happen. Then, an ecosystem requires certain elements to succeed, right? You need a centerpiece that generates the revenue, and that's Amber as an agency. But you also need like an incubator, a publisher, a supporter of the local indies. And that was our Carbon initiative, or it still is our Carbon initiative that Cătălin spearheaded, and where we effectively invested in interesting games from local game developers, generally in Eastern Europe, but preponderantly out of Romania. So half of our cohort was from Romania and the rest were from other countries in Eastern Europe. You need to have what we thought would be like a design agency to support these efforts, and that's how Pattern was created. And we thought of having an educational facility, a university for digital arts to train.
And Amber Academy is an outlet of that vision.
Amber Academy is an outgrowth of that vision, and it has two components. It has the community component where we teach game development to high school students and university students, but it also has an internal component, and that is a multidisciplinary curriculum to get you upscaled as a staff member of Amber. Yeah, and that means you can take engineering courses to learn Unity. You can be in QA and go to an intro to Unity course and become an engineer, right? We can all accomplish this in this environment, and it's transformational for us. And actually, this year is the first year where we're doing that at scale. There's engineering, art, design, QA, and management courses, like 5 layers deep of proficiency for things like Unity and Unreal, and I think it will be transformational for us. So why do we do this? Fundamental values. What do we get back? Honestly, it's not about that. I mean, we even this year for the first time we've committed to be a socially conscious company and declare publicly that we will invest 10% of our profit in community initiatives, and that's going to be a good chunk of money, and increasingly so in the years to come.
Poda proste. Amen.
Plăcere.
Amen. So since we're talking that, and obviously Amber is, people are gonna be thinking like, mother self-promoting, but Amber is a international game development agency, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
How's Romania different from US, for example? How's Romania different from the rest? Is it different? Because there's so many people out there thinking, fuck this, I'm sick of all this political turmoil, I'm sick of all this shit that's happening here, which is not necessarily shit. I'm gonna move to another country, I'm gonna move to the US, I'm gonna move to California, I'm gonna move to... Right?
Or at least try to find clients and work from here for clients in the US or the UK.
It's kind of what you guys are doing, right?
Sorry?
It's kind of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, this is what we are trying to do. We grew from 10% to almost 30% of our business coming from...
but just going outside, by just going to the US.
I never stepped foot in the US.
Oh my God.
I personally think...
Time to come to GDC.
Yeah, absolutely. I personally think one of our benefits is that we do have this international structure, but we also have people that have, that are in California that have done external development with teams remotely before.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this really unique structure of operational process and talent where we are able to make a US presence with a Romanian, presence sort of work, in a relatively well-gelled way. I would recommend, if there's teams in Romania that are looking to sort of expand their presence and break in, they maybe try to align themselves with certain talent that can do that. Because I think it's opened a lot of doors for us to be able to have a presence there, have people that have a lot of seniority, be able, people that have worked on top grossing games, to be able to represent the products as well as the strong execution talent that we have in Bucharest. It's, I think, a secret, not a secret recipe because everybody knows it now, but it's a recipe that we use to our advantage for sure.
Absolutely. And so being anchored into US operations gives us a byline to extraordinary talent because the industry in the US is far more mature. And I do think there is an element of kind of consumer market to your question, right? We talked a little bit about kind of the game dev environment and the benefit you have as a game developer to be anchored into production structures that are in the US that can, guide and mentor and also help with the account management. Amber was a global company from day zero by the nature of how it was set up. The first clients that we've had were in the US from the very beginning. And that basically really secured the growth because the Romanian market from a consumer perspective is insignificant.
Yeah.
And we make games for the global market,
Mm-hmm.
and so does every developer. So you don't have a global mindset into what we're doing, you simply are going to fail. Now, I'm hoping the Romanian consumer market will grow to the point where it can support highly localized content,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think that's the future for Romanian indie studios. The future for Romanian indie studios is to make content of high quality, AAA production values, to innovate, to try to strike into spaces where few are playing,
Mm-hmm.
and to experiment and to find their niche and to continue to develop based on that. If the objective is to perfect the craft, that's probably the best way to go. And I do think that in time the game dev market here will become even more sophisticated and will have resounding successes. We had a few successes in the
Mhm.
industry, and you guys have talked about this already in the past with other guests. And but I think that the successes we've had are not enough to put Romania on the map in the real way. I will come back to a question that you asked earlier. Like, okay, why do we have a very well developed industry in Romania compared to even
Mhm.
countries around us in the region? So I gave you the element of luck, which is absolutely real. But there's another element too, which is that for a reason or another, the multinationals that set up shop in Romania found very fertile ground here. We, found hardworking, really smart, creative people. I think there's something about the nature of the talent that you find in Romania. And I don't want to disparage any other countries in the region. I think Ukraine has great talent. But for a particular reason, the multinationals found that you can get engineers with high academic training and the ability to be creative in the game space.
Yeah.
The combination of art and technology, finding engineers that are creative and experimental and are willing to iterate and throw away their own work over and over again to try to find something better and more interesting, that is rare. Romania has it.
Isn't there a university subsidized fund that goes to high school students to get them into engineering as part of the Romanian government?
There are some programs. I mean, if you're a good student going to a public university, it's basically free and you receive a stipend.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, automatically you're getting all this, talent into the engineering programs in Romania coming out of university with lots of training. So there's probably, there's a big user base of engineers here that are like well trained and.
I think there's also a bit more. I had this conversation a couple of months ago with a friend of mine, with Marian Goodell, who's the CEO of Burning Man, and she told me, I was.
Can you get me in, bro?
Sorry?
Can you get me
You
in?
don't need that. Just buy a ticket.
Next year we'll go there.
Yes.
So
Sounds good.
maybe we'll meet there.
Your first time.
Yes.
How did you befriend?
I met her at the EA, and I helped her with the PowerPoint to adjust something there. And after the presentation, she was like, "I will spend another couple of days here in Romania, and I want to go in a short road trip to Transpăgărășan, Sibiu, and come back." And I told her, like, unfortunately, this is not US. This is not a 3 hours drive. It's more like a 12-hour drive.
Yeah.
And I told her, like, look, me and my girlfriend, we also want to go on a road trip after this event because we are tired. Don't you want to come with us, maybe? And then we had this short road trip. And a couple of months ago, she had a speech in Budapest, and she wrote us and said, like, look, I'm in Budapest. I don't know when I will come back as close as Romania as this. I want to visit Maramureș because I heard so many good things about it. Don't you want to come with me in another road trip? And we went this road trip. And we discussed a lot about the US market and about the culture and the philosophy of Burning Man. And I tried to tap into it and understand how I can approach the US market. And she said an amazing thing. She said, like, for us, maybe you can complete this or, I don't know, contradict me. But for us, Romania, it's very interesting because you also have this communist, how to call it,
What heritage?
heritage.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have this communist heritage, but you also have this Western. You want more of this Western capitalism and this cool stuff.
So
So
Western romanticism.
yeah, something like this. Yeah, and it's like first you understand things as we cannot understand it because you know the hard part of society, and then you come with the education, and you come with a lot of intelligence and creativity, and when you put this together, it's a perfect match for the US market. The only issue for a company that is based here is that it's very important to have somebody there or to go there physical. Like it's very
The
hard to
human
sell
touch
from
is
here.
important
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
Latin culture like ours.
So,
Like
I-
we're warm-blooded
Yeah.
beings.
Regarding what you said, yes, we have this education and we have a lot of very good engineers, and I think we still have very good universities, but we also have this creativity that comes from our history, from our heritage. Because Romania, as it's placed on the map, it was always at the intersection of the big powers.
Yeah.
We had like the popoarele călătoare,
Migrations.
the migrations that come with the war. We had the Austro-Hungarians, we had the Russians. We were always in the middle
The
of a fight.
Ottomans from the south. Yeah.
Yes,
Their borders basically crossed through Romania, and they were always kind of fighting
Yeah,
over parts of Romania.
and we had to be creative because we're a small country. We have 18 million now. Back then we were like a really, really small country.
We used to be 23 million. What happened?
18 here in Romania, and
Yeah, no, another 10.
Another. And we had to be really creative. I mean, we wouldn't fight. We would go to the mountains, burn all the crops, poison all the fountains,
Poison the women.
poison the women with our beauty.
Look, I think you're right. I think there's very specific creativity here. But
Mhm.
one thing that I know for a fact we can be better at, or we definitely have a different perspective, is making product,
We lack the structure, I think.
right? So I mean, what does it look like from the US? Because you're obviously seeing a lot of product coming out of Romania through Amber, but then
Yeah.
you guys also see product coming out of Romania, like pure product.
Well, yes, you can see a ton of product coming out of Romania. Most of the time, though, if we're talking about multinational companies here, or multinational studios, which, by the way, are gigantic. Like maybe some of our listeners don't know this, but Ubisoft, EA, Gameloft have more than 1,000 game devs each, and EA at peak was 1,800 people. I mean, it's just mind-boggling
Crazy.
amount of developers. Among the largest studios in the world are in Bucharest, right? So that's a feature of our industry here locally, is that it's really dominated by these gigantic studios that are excellent pipelines of talent. They're excellent
Mhm.
academies. Unfortunately, one thing that you don't normally learn in these places is that pure creativity of like making something out of nothing.
Mhm.
Usually, you work on a franchise, and the franchise has very well-established rules.
Mhm.
And within that, you're in a little box that says you're going to make a little piece of this like grander whole. And furthermore, the way you're going to make that little piece
It's
is
like
pretty much scripted from the creative leadership of the project that sits outside of Romania.
Yeah.
So you get very good at executing, and you don't get very
The
good
vision, product
at
ownership.
vision,
Yeah.
product ownership, innovation, and stepping outside of the boundaries and taking risks, because in a major corporation you take risks and you get slapped. It's
Yeah.
not easy to fail, right, in a corporation. So that feature in turn makes it for a less vibrant and creative indie community.
Mhm.
Paradoxically, yes, plenty of talent, but it's being shaped and molded
Yeah.
in such a way that you actually have to look for talent outside of Romania to fill in the gaps.
Now that passion for product can be taught, and that passion for product and how to lead, carry the banner down the field, what we like to say, right? And the army's kind of running behind you. To be that champion for a game, you can be taught and it can be learned, or you can just be passionate about it, right? Like one of the struggles, is like saying, hey, you're a project manager, I'm going to make you a producer, is that personality might not be there, right? The personality of being passionate, even though you're like project management and production, they're kind of the same, Scrum, right? Like, though I work with creative directors, I work with technical directors that are product owners in their own right because they're passionate and they believe in what's best for the product and they own it. So it's possible to find those people, and it's possible to harvest that belief system and that philosophy in how to lead. But I think to Mihai's point, traditionally it hasn't been harvested and it hasn't been nurtured. So I think there's an opportunity.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge and opportunity, and I think it's an opportunity for a company like Amber that has the ability to grow creatives. In this fashion.
That's amazing, because all the things that the Romanians lack are things that can be taught. Like there is the fertile
The creativity is already there.
Yeah.
But leaps and bounds, it's already there.
Yeah.
It's just the technique of bringing it into the game dev space and applying it in a commercially successful way. Because ultimately we're purveyors of entertainment, right? So if people love the work that we do, this is how we win.
Yeah, because it's perfectly fine to have indie projects that are made for the sake of art and showing what you can do, but unfortunately, that product, that game, that product that you are putting out there must sell, must bring income, because this is the definition of a business. It's an entity that takes something, through processes, it changes it, it puts it out there on the market with the scope of making profit. So
exactly true.
Yep.
And unfortunately, capital for a company, it's like, especially for a startup, it is like air. You cannot grow without capital. And I think this is the biggest mindset change that most of us should have. Like, no, it's not. It's not a shame. It's not bad to make money, to ask for money, because this is how you can grow.
Yeah, go ask for money. Like literally, go ask for money.
Do you have money?
No, but
I'll take some money.
I'm gonna be a little bit controversial here and say yes, you can take that path
Awesome.
and gather the money from Uncle Tom or whoever has the big bucks in your family, or find an angel investors or a VC or something. Sure, you can take that path. That path is very difficult in Romania because people with money generally don't look at the game space.
Yep.
And they don't understand the game space, and they prefer to invest their money in a factory system. You put $1 here, $2 come out because you produce something that sells with multiples.
Or real estate, which is
some of that.
The old traditional stuff.
Frankly, the game space is too sophisticated for a casual investor to get their brains around it.
Yeah.
And it's part of the reason, as a side note, why the Polish investment community is so different than others, because they understand how lucrative the game space could be when you invest in something that is successful. And their example is CD Projekt Red, which is the largest company on the Warsaw Stock Exchange. $1.5 billion in valuation on Warsaw Stock Exchange, the largest company. So then all the investors
they've invested in others that have had great valuations.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the most prominent example. There are 15 others that are doing quite well in that stock market, and but you have an investment community that becomes astute about the game space. Not happening in Romania. So where does this leave you? I will tell you look at Amber. Amber started with services. Okay, you can be of use to other more established studios, not in Romania. Actually, now at this point in Romania too, because Amber is actively looking for studio partners. But particularly outside of Romania, you can find studios to co-develop games with. You can find studios to deliver engineering services to. You can find studios to deliver level design or art to. And all of these things will build your cash kitty so you can eventually create your own product. Even if you want to make some artistic, innovative game that will never be a commercial success, you can still have a business
It also trains the
if you
team.
can do it all.
Yeah.
It also trains the team, right?
Yeah,
like
I think
if,
so.
if you're learning on somebody else's dime, there's less risk on your first project with an investor.
Isn't it a slippery slope? This one, I mean, if you go and start building products with other studios, isn't it a risk there to transform in an outsourcing company and commoditize? I'm sorry for my bad English. I'm a bit rusty.
It's fine.
Isn't it
Better than
commoditize? Isn't it a risk to commoditize your services too much? Because the high bucks come from the strategy and they come from the added value services, not in the development and outsourcing.
Yes, there's quite a difficult mindset shift that you need to make from being an author of games
Mm-hmm.
to being provider of services.
And not just an outsourcer.
Well, you know what I mean. Like the term outsourcer it's heavily used in IT.
Okay.
In our space, you can actually create very beautiful and innovative work for hire.
Mhm,
Meaning
mhm.
that somebody will pay you a contract to create the design of a game.
Okay.
You know,
But
that
sometimes you will create your own design and get it funded, and you'll create a prototype, and people will pay you to make
Yeah,
that game.
but it's true that when you go into the work for hire mode, that involves a certain mindset and maybe sacrificing some of your
Ownership.
kind of notions of what good looks like, right? I mean, you're effectively working for a client. The client has expectations, and
You have to meet them.
yeah, and you basically come up with the best that you can do, and the client may still not like it, and you'll send you back to the drawing board. Claudiu, you know how that is.
Oh
you know?
my god. Yeah.
So yeah, you are running that risk. You actually, when you go into it, it's important to go into it from a position of low ego and being humble
Mhm.
and thinking that you are going to come out, not just richer in money, but richer in experience and knowledge from working with a partner. So if you can put
Yeah.
yourself in that mindset, oh yeah, I mean,
And
it's not a sacrifice anymore.
well,
It's a means to a goal.
there's
right?
also tons of upside.
Nice.
There's also tons of upside there. Like two projects that Mihai mentioned earlier, two of my highest grossing projects that I ever worked on, were with external studios. Like they weren't created internally. Simpsons Tapped Out was created with a team called Byte that was purchased by EA. But when they were working on Simpsons Tapped Out up to like a couple of months before launch, they were not an EA studio. They weren't an EA studio until EA started getting wind of like, okay, this game's going to be big and we should probably buy these guys. Similar with Frozen Freefall, that was with an external team. Genera, which is located in Spain, where their studio actually that worked on that game was located in Iași, Romania. But both of those games were multi-million dollar, hundreds of $1 million products from external devs. And they need to put themselves in that perspective of like, I'm going to partner with an EA, I'm going to partner with Disney to make a product. And it worked out really well for both of them.
And coming back to the destiny of like Romanian indie game dev community, I think, hopefully Amber can show the way. Amber can also see the industry with investment to like get new talent to come up
Mhm.
and to the carbon system, right? But also Amber can leverage the talent and resources of the indie studios for their own projects, because we actually need capacity in order to grow and scale. And we are looking at the Romanian indie game dev community to partner with and merge with talented studios. And those discussions are ongoing. I mean, I expect that at some point they will accelerate, and we're going to have a bunch of like announcements coming, on that front. But yeah, I think that will help too. It will help to have a more kind of stable economic grounding for these talented studios to be able to, be creative, unfettered from the constraints of work for hire.
Yeah.
So how do you see this kind of network, this ecosystem growing? Because you mentioned Amber as a network of studios.
Yes. So there are two different things, by the way. The ecosystem involves different functions that an industry requires in order to operate successfully. And notice I didn't say VC mechanism. There should be VCs in the market that invest in games. We're not investors necessarily. We can support it through the incubator, and we can create infrastructure for publishing of indie games. So the ecosystem means different functions supporting the industry. The network of studios is a function of Amber being able to scale in a manner that allows the studios to still remain hyper specialized on crafting beautiful work and getting better every year through Kaizen, right? Through continuous improvement.
Kai what?
Kaizen. It has the word Zen in it.
Kaizen.
And it's actually a term that we inherited from the Toyota manufacturing system. It is originating in American management theory through Deming. He was an academician that basically coached Toyota on this culture of continuous improvement that was deployed at the level of each individual working the production line, right? So it doesn't apply exactly to creative work. We're taking the concept in its sublimated form to mean that we are going to always try to get better. We'll look at what we're doing today and we're always going to try to make it better tomorrow. And this is like a process that runs daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, and multi-annually. Because to get to the best studios in the world, these are many years. And so I was telling you earlier, we set up the company in a way that affords us the chance to do so. We didn't take any VC investment. Trust me, it was offered. It was on the table at many times, especially once we got past like $5 million a year in revenue. People were like starting to pay attention because that's unusual for this space, for Romania necessarily, for Eastern Europe. And we elected to stay employee-owned. Employee-owned, that's a big one, because we want to build for the long haul, and we don't want the pressures of like VCs forcing an exit or accelerated scaling that will leave us, bereft of the ability to assemble great teams. So arguably, we're already scaling too fast. So, to go to 400 people from 280 in the space of 1 year, that was quite a push.
70%, I guess, something like this.
60, yes.
60, yeah. I'm not that good at mathematics, but I was pretty close. 60, 70%.
I'm not that good at math.
Yeah, but
That'll
we
be
did
our
the calculations before.
Yeah, it'll be our secret. So
Yeah.
don't tell anyone.
So kind of going back to what we were originally discussing, because this is something that's interesting to me. This is something that I'm interested in. Claudiu brought up an interesting topic, which is
Well, thank you very much.
the rise of- right?
That's mystery.
Yes, you can take that off the list.
Compliments delivered.
It's easy to lose sight of building product as if you don't own the product. So I'm kind of wondering how do product managers grow? Like, how do you get to be good at product? And I think we have two of the best people to answer that. You guys have made $1 million products. Like, how is it something that just comes from the inside?
Are you talking about when you're working with an external team, how do you keep the vision of the product, even though you're sort of being told by someone else what to do?
Right.
Is that what you're asking?
It's complicated.
Yeah, I would say that if your goals are aligned in creating the best product possible, it shouldn't be a problem. Now, where typically these issues come up is when the publisher has a different vision than maybe what the developer has, and they butt heads and they argue and they create something that's sort of like a Frankenstein monster that isn't meeting anyone's goals. I think it's possible from a remote management standpoint, when you're working with a big publisher, to be able to create a product as an external developer that they want, that they will love. But what that requires is an expertise in product development, in creativity, in execution, where that partner is going to look at that because we think it's the best and go, oh, damn, that is the best. So I think a lot of time when these teams struggle, they struggle with sort of the philosophical debate of what I want versus what the publisher want versus what the right product is and what the best product is. I think as long as you're trying to make the best product and the highest quality product possible, and you execute against that, your partners are going to align and be like, you're right, that is awesome, let's make that. So I think it's been our experience that in general, we've had a pretty good run at meeting our partners' needs, but also meeting our own needs and what we're executing against because of that.
That's very platonic in many ways, because you pretty much argue that if you're aiming for the best, you're gonna cooperate. You're gonna eventually go into a dialogue with your partner. You're gonna end up with the best. It's like the best.
You're essentially
version.
creating the best argument for your case, right?
Right.
Like if you disagree with your partner, the best way to show them that your vision is right is to deliver something that kicks ass.
Mhm.
And then they'll be like, oh, you're right, that is awesome. Let's do that.
Or in the process of building that, realize that it's not.
Or not, right? Once you get into the iterative process, you may realize, oh wait, they're right, and that's going to make the best product.
Mhm.
So let's actually do what they're saying, and let's get rid of our ego.
Mhm.
So I think it's really that sort of razor's edge of quality and the highest potential of the product to create that sort of alignment, in my opinion.
Where do you learn that? You just do it over and over.
Streets. On
Yeah.
the mean streets of
School
the
of hard
knocks.
Where did I learn that? I mean, I worked for a lot of really talented production people that taught me, and I was given enough responsibility and autonomy to sort of figure that out through product development and through working on tons of mobile games over my career.
Osmosis is the way you learn the
Yeah.
highest order of
Yeah,
skills.
it's hard. I mean,
in almost any profession, by the way.
yeah,
Yeah, you learn from others.
learn by doing.
Yeah.
Learn by doing, right?
With others
Yeah.
Learn
that
by
are
doing.
smarter than you
Yeah.
in particular.
Well, you can do it by yourself, but it's probably going to be a lot more difficult,
Can you do it by yourself?
error prone.
You know,
You
It's
can.
so esoteric.
Yeah.
Like,
Theoretically, you might, but it will be like
I was
Way
really,
harder.
I was really lucky on my production track throughout time to have a handful of really awesome mentors and leaders that could show me how to do it right, what good looks like.
yeah.
If you are getting to the game dev industry and you're thinking about doing this, like try to align yourself with teams and leaders that you admire and their vision and what they've created, because that's where you're going to learn the most. You're going to learn the most working under somebody. This is the whole like apprenticeship versus college argument, right? Like you may learn more apprenticing for an awesome game developer or producer than you would by going to get a game degree at a university. Just because you're gonna get that expertise from somebody that's doing it versus somebody that's teaching it.
come to Amber and learn from Scott and Mihai.
I'd be happy to.
I mean, actually, that's true.
Yeah.
This actually happens.
Also, failing helps. Like failing a lot,
Yeah.
that helps.
Don't be
It's
afraid of
okay
failure.
to fail.
Oh yeah, can we talk about like all the ways that Amber failed
Yeah.
across
Please
the
do
years?
so.
I mean, there's a ton of like learnings from that, and I thought it would be interesting to. So, God, I mean, the long history of fails. We developed a game for Disney called Cinderella Freefall, and we kind of respected all the tenets of the brand, and we produced a beautiful game. But also, it was a beautiful game that had a mechanic that people didn't enjoy as much as traditional match 3, which is what the Freefall series was known for. So it wasn't a big commercial success, and it was a little bit of a, Gabe is like really smiling over here because he was producing like Cinderella Freefall
He's
back
like,
in the
that's
day.
not it, bro.
Well, I think it's in the neighborhood of. And also the team was very junior, so we made some mistakes. Our monetization design was arguably not the best in the world, and we didn't understand analytics as well as we do now, and we didn't understand product management.
But you know what? Biggest lesson from Cinderella is understand what casuals want. Like understand who you're making the game for.
Right.
Like
We were learning
back
about their
then,
audience.
we were so thrilled about making a linker and pivoting, because like all the pre-fall games were
Match.
match switchers, call them switchers, and this one was a linker, and we thought, yeah, we're changing the game, baby.
Innovating.
Right.
Yeah.
So and
Just
then
innovating
we
in a
learned.
direction that
Yeah.
your demo doesn't work.
Yeah.
Doesn't want.
Well, there was a weak signal in the market back then that blinkers would be the next big thing, because Gummy Dropped had just
right?
show, and it was killing it.
Yeah.
Gummy Drop was killing it. But then Gummy Drop was not the same audience, which just kind of takes me back to like know your audience, right? Still was good. So like best game I worked on, best experience of game development I've worked on in like so many years.
But there was a learning experience where we took those lumps, figured out what we needed to do for the next product, and I think like that sort of continuous improvement, that sort of sense of Kaizen was maybe weaker back then, but still something that we were
talking about it already.
Yeah.
It wasn't as embedded in the company as it is now, and arguably we are far from achieving proficiency in Kaizen. I mean, it's a work in progress. But we're getting better every year.
But let's continue talking about mistakes, because I'll talk about another mistake that we made, which was we wanted to make games for the Apple Watch.
Right.
That was silly.
Well, I mean, in our defense, we did have a partner that paid for the
Yes,
the
and it was a beautiful
Yeah.
game.
and but we were like so gung ho about making games for the watch, and the game was Little Leader, and as it happens, you were the producer also.
See,
these
like the-
products keep
Can
coming
you see
up.
the trail?
But
Yeah.
I would actually not even place like Little Leader as a failure, because we got paid for development. Our rates were covered. by
We
the
did R&D
government.
on a new platform.
We did R&D. We learned a ton of stuff. About what doesn't work on watch, and almost nothing does. We learned though, and ultimately we put like a beautiful game out there in the world that 2,000 people have paid for.
Beautiful game, right? And it's kind of like innovating. It's for the other 8
I like to
million-
think there's always strategic choices
Yeah.
that we make in product development, right? And we debate this to no end about like the value of taking on these products. And Cinderella Freefall was like, we have an opportunity to work with an amazing publisher. We have an opportunity to work on a full product tied to a big brand, tied to a movie. It was like, we'd make that decision again in a
Oh, yeah.
second.
Not a failure in my book.
Oh yeah, well we make the decision, but we would execute against it stronger this time.
Yeah.
Apple Watch, same thing. New platform. Who knows how it's gonna do? May not have the install base, but let's try it anyways because we're getting paid for it, and a strategic call to work with a publisher we never worked with before. So I think we're sort of always approaching it with the potential of growth, and luck is preparation meeting opportunity. So I think we're always trying to at least prepare for the opportunity, because you never know when it's going to come, right? And all you can do is try to be the best and execute against the products in the best way you
Amen.
can.
Cool. So what else do you guys want to know about? What can we do for you?
I think we can continue with the series of failures.
Yeah.
Maybe we haven't talked about all the games that I've produced.
Oh no, there's more failures.
Yeah, no, but look, I think that one of the good things, one of the things that I like as being part of Amber is the fact that we're humble, which I don't know so many companies that are humble and that make things, that pay things back, give things back. So we can continue talking about failures. We can continue not talking about failures. But one thing that I do want to touch on is, why is it important to be humble?
So
Continue.
it leads to great business decisions when you remove the ego from
Yeah.
the situation. And there's almost like no place where ego is needed unless you are having a problem of confidence. So the only place where I can see that ego could play a good role is on taking on risk, right? You're taking on risk because you think you can make it work. And that's good, that's constructive. But almost in any other business decision, the ego, that I like that person, or I don't want to work with that person because she's there's something in the past, or I don't trust another company, or I don't want to get into a new market because those people are weird. All of the ego-driven decisions are essentially bad decisions. So yeah, the only
It's an unnecessary expression.
I don't know, and you have to be able to transcend your own feelings on the matter, because those are inherently subjective. Many times, they are pointing you in the wrong direction.
I want to make this short conversation more actionable. What does being humble mean for you as an organization and as managers? Because humble, it's a word that can mean a lot of stuff.
So we have this term that we're trying to embrace, and I would say it's a aspirational goal.
Okay.
We call it servant leadership, where we feel like the managers of Amber should be facilitators to our team members. Ultimately, it's not our job to be carried by our team members, and sort of bark commands at them. It's our responsibility to help unblock our team members from their execution risks and challenges.
And unlock their full potential.
And help them grow and unlock their full potential.
I don't want it to sound big, but it is truly about unlocking human potential. And that is how you get great. It's like taking a collection of people that assembled will make an incredible creative team.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of them has to abandon their own ego in the process of fusing into the team. That's why our first value is teamwork. The first value means that the team comes before the individuals, and we're all feeding into our common greatness. Somehow we're all playing our positions like an extremely accomplished sports team. We all have our particular skills, but we serve those skills to the full expression of the group, to the ultimate accomplishment of the group.
Mm-hmm.
It's not me as a forward, like scoring a bunch of goals and becoming super famous. That's not a recipe for success in sports nor in games development. You have to play so that the entire team wins. And it took us some time to learn that.
Yeah.
It's,
We had some experience with auteur leadership, and sort of directive-based creative vision, and we found that it works much better with sort of a team aspect, right? And being able to get advice and feedback from anybody. Like there's no reason anybody on our floor should be afraid of giving feedback on anything. Hopefully not.
Yeah, open communication.
Yeah.
Also filtered through honesty and integrity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those are two very important elements. They're not enough to be humble. You also have to be honest and have integrity, and that really creates a positive team culture. Yes, I can talk about anything. Yes, I can express myself fully. As long as it's filtered to honesty and integrity, we will emerge stronger out of any creative conflict. I have to tell you, when you're creating a game, when you're creating anything in a group setting, there are a multitude of opinions from very smart people that know the craft very well, and they love what they do. Like they are so invested in the product, so you can imagine the sparks that come out of it. But it's beautiful. As long as the honesty, integrity, and humility is there, it's so constructive. You emerge out of a meeting like feeling like, wow, I can't believe how awesome this team is. And hopefully that happens all the time, right? It's not. It's something to aspire to.
Yeah, it's I've seen Daniel Dinesh, I think, from UiPath that he gave a speech a couple of months ago, and he said exactly the same thing, that one of their core values at UiPath is humbleness, being humble. So it's amazing.
I guess you learn too.
And probably again from mistakes.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah, totally.
overnight success takes 10 years old and a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
A lot of mistakes.
Absolutely.
What would you advise somebody who wants to tackle the game industry, the game development industry, and start a startup or indie company here in Romania? What would be your advice for them?
I think it ties to what I was saying earlier about, be very cognizant of what you want,
Mhm.
have the end goal in sight, Because if your goal is to just make an artistic game with your friends, the game that you want to make with your friends, maybe, that's more of a lifestyle than a business. And that's okay too. There's like great content that comes into the world through that, uncapitalistic expression. And I appreciate it and I encourage it, but you have to be very cognizant that that's the goal. And to don't expect a pot of gold at the end of it. Maybe a lot of drudgery, a lot of effort. You put something out there that presents you in a visceral way, and it's not going to be commercially successful. Actually, chances are very high that it will not be commercially successful. And I'll say, get into it with the idea that you're just making the game of your heart, and the money may or may not come, but most likely won't come. If you're at peace with that, go for it. If you want to build a business, you have to care about clients and the market environment at large, or you have to care about raising money. It's hard to raise money in Romania, so I would advise the other path. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do services and the outsourcing bit, and with all that it entails. You can also get lucky and make a prototype and take it to an indie competition, and some publisher notices and they give you some money to finish that game. And you finish that game, it is maybe a modest commercial success, because you shouldn't expect like multiples from your first game. Again, chances of failure in any creative enterprise are high. In the game space is a red ocean. I don't know. It's a black ocean. There's been so much death that is only blackness. Out of 10,000 mobile games, like one will be making its money back. It's as bad or as exciting as
Wow.
that. Yeah.
So it's 0.01%.
Oh yes. In
Wow.
the App Store is gruesome.
How many? 5,000 games per day? New
Yeah.
games per day?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Wow.
Yes, and you can imagine that the very vast majority of all games in the App Store are not making their money back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so I would say self-awareness is important. Understanding where you're going is important. You want to build a business, you have to care about clients. You have to think beyond, or you go through a publishing contract strategy. But understand that it's harder to get a publishing contract with a new studio than it is to get a service contract. Doing some engineering work with a new studio, and also be fearless. And your first venture may not succeed, but there's always a second and a third.
So yeah, I can tell you this from my experience. I'm at the fifth company, and this one starts to have some success. The
Wonderful.
first four ones failed big time, and I'm happy. Those were the money that I invested in my personal MBA.
You probably learned a lot.
Sorry?
You probably learned a lot too.
Yes, that was my MBA.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect. And now I don't make the same mistakes again. I make new mistakes.
Make new ones, yeah.
What's a personal MBA?
I didn't pay money to go to finish an MBA.
School of Hard
I
Knocks.
failed and I lost money.
School of Hard Knocks MBA.
It's the life game.
The life
game of life.
Yeah. I think for me, if I were going to give advice, it depends on what you're doing. So yeah, if you're just starting out and you want to reduce your risk, aligning yourself with a team that'll help you grow by paying you to do so is a good option. That's how we started. If you're looking to be an indie developer, there's a few things that I think you need to be aware of in that development process. One is you're going to have to work your ass off. This is not an easy business. Don't think you're going to get in it and be like, oh, I'm going to do this like 12 hours a week while I do my other job. Like, that's not going to work. Like, that game's going to take like 5 years or it's not going to come out at all. So if you're going to do this, you have to do it and you have to invest your time and your effort and be prepared to work hard. For that reason, you need to ensure that you're creating something that you're passionate about, right? If you're going to be investing all of your time into something and you're going to be working your ass off, it's got to be something that you care about, you love, that you're really passionate about. And then the third one is you have to be prepared to tackle scope that you know you can do. One of the biggest mistakes that indie teams try to do is they come out and they go like, I'm going to make the next battle royale with 3 guys. And It's a big problem because these guys have these visions of these games they love, but the team they've assembled is not the team that can build that product. So take some baby steps, look at the expertise you have, and try to create a product that your team can build with 90% success. I'm not saying don't stretch yourself, right? Every team should stretch themselves because that's how you get better. But like
Don't kill yourself.
Don't kill yourself, right? And this, this is experiences that I've learned in Hard Knocks is like looking at teams that we've tried to build products with that are not aligned with those sort of goals and those sort of mechanics, right? It's really hard. So that's what I would suggest.
Gabriel, what do you say about this? I'm curious about your opinion.
Get the right people.
Get rich or die trying.
No, like get the right people.
Yeah.
Super important. And if you think you have the right people, then test your vision against them.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you got the right people, they're gonna call out bullshit. They're gonna be like, yeah, this is gonna be amazing. So they are gonna call out bullshit. And then they're gonna be able to tell you, cannot build this. I cannot build this. You should get someone else. Or I know who we can get. Like get the right people for the right job. I think that's one. Okay, my theory is if you have the right people, if you have good communication, and if you have clean vision, you're gonna get a good product. Is it gonna be $1 million product? No. And it's not even like this is not even my theory. I got it from Dan Todorescu. Like he says, proactivity, clear vision, good communication. That's like the core of any team. But I kind of replace that with the right people. I think it's a lot easier to do it with the right people. Yeah. Also, be prepared to fail.
Yeah. And survive.
And survive. Yeah, have a plan to survive. I mean, you're not gonna get it right in the first time. No way. Not even the second. Like, kind of to your point, success takes 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does take 10 years. Which kind of reminds me, like, this is the 6th year of Amber.
Not kind of.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, happy 6th anniversary.
Yeah. I think we should end on that. Happy 6th anniversary. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you.
It was awesome.
Woo!
Woo! It's good.
Woo, woo.
It was good.
Mulțumim.
Hopefully that was
Thank you
good.
very much.
I was getting kind of drunk because I didn't have lunch.